Hey guys, I'm recording this on this phone, so that might be why it looks kind of weird. But anyway, what I want to do is I ran across this verse the end of last week, and I know I've read it before, but it's kind of caught my eye as I was reading it this time. It just something that just stood out to me, and it's in Matthew. It's chapter 9, verse 13, and he actually repeats it again in chapter 12, verse 7, and we see it's quoted actually from Hosea 6:6. And I just want to share a few things about this verse as I study it, and I'm going to try to do short videos about this verse and that we read here in the scriptures. So yeah, without further ado, let's go to the verse. So here's this chapter, Matthew chapter 9, and I just want to read the whole portion so we get this in context what's going on here. And it says here in verse 9, it says, "And as Jesus passed forth from thence, he saw a man," and this is reading in the King James Bible, or the King James Version, if you will. It says, "Jesus passed forth from thence, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the receipt of custom, and he saith unto him, Follow me. And he arose and followed him. And it came to pass, as Jesus sat at meat in the house, behold, many publicans and sinners came and sat down with him and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto his disciples, Why eat your master with publicans and sinners? But when Jesus heard, he said unto them, They that be whole need not a physician, but they that are sick. But go ye and learn what it meaneth, I will have mercy and not sacrifice, for I am not come to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance." And again, that's reading the King James version of the Bible. And so we've got to go to this verse here where it says, "Go and learn what it means that I will have mercy and not sacrifice." Let's pull that up. And so we see all these different translations here of this verse. And I just want to point something out to you as we just let's look at the English Standard Version, if you will. It says, "Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy and not sacrifice, for I came not to call the righteous, but sinners." Now, if you look down here at the King James Version right here, in both the New King James, both of them, it adds this phrase, "to repentance." Now, just for a little back here, I want to share with you that we see that it's quoted from Hosea 6:6, and we see also Jesus says it again in Matthew 12, verse 7. So he says the same thing. "If only you had known the meaning of I desire mercy, not sacrifice, you would not have commended the innocent," is how that reads. And then Hosea says, "For I desire mercy, not sacrifice, and the knowledge of God rather than burnt offering." So, but we see in the King James Version, it appears that this "to repentance," because in these other translations, it just don't seem to be there. I ain't looked at all of them, but just these top ones. Now, let's pull it up in the interlinear and just kind of look at it here. And if we look at the Greek, we see the Greek, and there is no "to repentance." It just don't appear to be there. Unless somebody knows Greek better than I do, but it just don't appear to be there, and as I'm looking at it here. And so if we pull out the word learn, and learn it's this word matheno, or I think is how you pronounce it, and it's properly learning key facts, gaining fact knowledge as someone learns from experience, often with implication of reflection or coming to realize. And what I want to point out is it's a verb. So this learning is an ongoing learning. And according to this definition, it's learning key facts or knowledge as we go through experiences. And it's often implicated by reflection of what we've learned and it's come to realize. And that's kind of, I think, as I understand it, as what we mean by progressive revelation as we go through life, that God reveals unto us if we continue to look for him, he will reveal himself to us slowly and deliberately over time, and not only to an individual, but he does it to all mankind as a whole. What he is doing for mankind, for the will of mankind. So, anyway, that's that word to learn. And let's go back, and now this word what we want to concentrate on is this mercy, because it says God desires mercy. Okay, so if we look and we pull up mercy, it's the definitions it gives is pity, mercy, and compassion. It's elios, and it's translated from this Hebrew word, which we'll pull up in a minute. But the definition in the help word study here is covenant loyalty, covenant love. In the Old Testament Septuagint, that's what the LXX is, which is the Old Testament that was translated into Greek. This word elios is used over 170 times. It's properly mercy as it is defined by loyalty to God's covenant, which is interesting because if you think of covenant ain't just a bunch of laws, a bunch of do's and don'ts. It's an agreement between two parties. It's like a promise that God gives in return for somebody else's promise. It's like an agreement. So this word elios is defined as mercy, but it's a loyalty to God's covenant is how it translates here, which is interesting. So if we pull up the word here in the Hebrew, and we have this word chesed, and its definition is goodness and kindness. Now chesed in the Hebrew scriptures in the Bible, I just want to go down here. It says it's used over 247 times. And I know a couple of them times it's actually used in the negative. And as I go through these short videos here, I'll share with you where it's actually used in the negative and what we can learn from that about this word chesed. Because Jesus says, go learn what it means that I desire chesed, or mercy, goodness and kindness, more than sacrifice.